Good afternoon, yogis. Bring yourself to the mat. Begin to lie down. Spend some time connecting with your breath. Just breathe in through your nose and out through your nose. As you're lying on the mat, notice how your body feels, what parts are connected with the floor. And today we're going to be focusing on our hips. How do your hips feel? And place one hand on your stomach and feel your stomach inflating as you breathe in. Feel it deflate as you breathe out. And put one hand on your chest and feel what's happening to your chest as you breathe in and out. So today we're going to be working on our hips. So slowly bring your feet flat to the floor and just notice how your hips feel. Bring one knee to your chest. You can hold over or hold under. And then as you breathe out, stretch that leg along the floor. Keep those toes flexed. And as you breathe in, bring that knee to your chest. And as you exhale, slide that leg along the floor. Inhale to bring that knee back to your chest. And then try exhaling the other leg along the floor. And then exhaling that leg to meet it. Rest in Shavasana for a moment before we do the other side. So we're just warming our hips up here. So bring your feet flat to the floor. Bring your other knee into your chest. Hold over your knee or under your knee. And as you exhale, slide that leg along the floor. Breathe that leg in, that knee to your chest. And exhale along the floor. On the third go, extend that other leg along the floor. And then exhale that leg to meet it. And remain in Shavasana. Bring those feet flat to the floor again. Bring one knee into the chest and we're just going to do some very, very slow circles. So as wide as you can, just with one leg. Hold on to that knee. And then reverse it the other way. And feel what's happening in your hip as you're doing this. And then bring the other knee to your chest. And then some slow circles of that hip. One way and then the other. And then bring the soles of your feet together and let your knees fall out either side. And just spend some time resting here. Take some deep breaths. Focus on how your hips feel. Do they feel like they've warmed up? Just remain in this position. Just focus on your breathing and enjoy the feeling of that stretch. Place your hands either side of your thighs and push your legs up so your feet are flat on the floor. Then we're just going to begin some slow cycles. If it's easier, just to do it on one leg, but I want you to do it really slowly. So bend that knee, bring that sole to the ceiling, and then bring that leg straight along the floor, almost touching the floor. If you can manage to do both legs, then do that. But we're aiming for a really, really slow cycle. And then reverse it, go the other way. Still very, very slow. We're warming those hips up nicely. And then when you've done both equally, bring your feet flat to the floor. Just take a moment to rest. Then when you're ready, roll over onto your side before coming up into seated. We're going to come into a cross-legged position, which can be enough of a stretch sometimes for our hips. Then we're going to take a breath in and raise one hand over our head. And as we exhale, we're just going to do a nice side stretch and breathe that over, rooting that other hip to the floor. Exhale. Inhale the other arm up and right over. And then exhale back to centre. So just change the interlock of your legs and just take a moment seated in cross-legged. And then we're going to lift one leg and place the ankle over our knee. So we're in a half lotus position here. But as you notice, or you should notice, it's a little bit more of a stretch around that hip. And just take a few breaths here and just notice how that feels. Notice if there's a sensation. And if that's difficult for you, just come out of that position whenever that feels ready. And then change the crossover. So bring the other ankle on top of the other knee. And just spend a few moments here, just taking some breaths. It might feel different on this side. It might not be accessible for you. If it's not accessible, just come back to cross-legged position. And keeping that bottom leg there, we're just going to externally rotate that top leg, just so we're moving our hip in another way. So bring that knee to the sole of that foot and just see how that feels on your hip. And we'll do the same thing on the other side. And when you feel like you've done that evenly, I want you to bring both feet, soles of your feet together. You might want to move your feet closer or further away from you. Just find what's comfortable for you and just go for a slight lean forward. So we're not aiming to try and get our head to the floor. We're aiming for a fairly straight back. And just take a few moments here. Check in with your breath. And if this position's difficult for you, then you can bring yourself onto some blocks, which will make it a little bit easier to get that forward bend. And from here, you're just going to extend one leg out. Keep the other leg bent. So you should feel this in your hamstrings a little bit. And we're just going to turn to face that bent leg. And as we exhale, bending forward slightly. And come back up to seated. Stretch both legs out. And then bring the other sole of the foot to the inside of that leg. Turn to face the bent leg and feel the stretch on the outside of that hip. Just keep breathing here. And then when you're ready, come up onto all fours, bring the toes together, spread the knees out, stretch those hands forward into child's pose. And you can stay in this position as long as it feels comfortable for you. When you feel ready, come up onto your hands, bring your knees together, tuck your toes, and just push back and come into standing. Come into Tadasana and ground yourself to the floor. We're going to try a little balance, but I'm going to talk you through it. And when you feel ready, we're just going to take hold of the right knee with our hand, flex those toes, and then let go with our hand, keeping that knee where it is. Take a big stride forward with that right knee and bring your left knee to the floor, untucking those toes. Bring your right elbow to your right ankle and feel that stretch in your groin. Then bring your left hand to the floor, right hand up to the sky, and a small twist. Then we're going to push back, push our bum back onto that heel of that left foot, stretching that right leg out in front of us and feeling that hamstring stretch. You can stay here for as long as this feels comfortable. And then we're going to do the same on the other side. So we're lifting the knee of that left leg, flexing those toes, taking a big stride forward, bringing the right knee to the floor and untucking the toes. Left elbow to left ankle. Feel that groin stretch. Right hand to the floor, left hand up to the sky. Push back to sit on that right heel, feeling the stretch in that left leg. And we're just going to do that again on each side. Lift the knee to the chest, big stride forward, other knee to the floor, elbow to ankle, and then twist. Push back onto your heel and hamstring stretch. When you feel like you've done that enough, we'll come up and do it for the final time on the left side. So bring your left knee to your chest. Flex those feet. Big step forward. And we could even go for a high lunge here without bringing that right knee to the floor. Left elbow to left ankle. Right hand to the floor and left hand to the sky. Bring that knee down to the floor. Untuck your toes and push your bum back to your heel. Giving that left leg a good hamstring stretch. And when you feel ready, let's go back into a child's pose. Bring the toes together, knees to the outside edges of the mat, and bring your bum back to your heels. And spend as much time as you like here. Remember, you can pause me. Take some slow, deep breaths. And when you feel ready, push back onto your heels. So come up into seated and feel how your hips are in this position. They feel any better, any looser? Are you feeling any sensations? We're going to come into deer pose. So bring the right shin parallel with the short edge of the mat. And then the left thigh parallel with the short edge of the mat. So our knees are at right angles. And then we're going to bend forward over that front leg and see how that feels on your hip. You can have a play about with this. You can go further forward. You can go further to the side. And then from here, if you feel that's comfortable, you can extend that back leg into pigeon pose, coming down onto your forearms if you feel that that is comfortable. But if that's not accessible to you, then just stick with the first pose. And have a play about here, stretching straight forward or slightly over to the knee or towards the ankle. See what feels good for you. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. So to get into this position, we've got our shin of our left leg parallel with the short edge of the mat and the thigh of our right leg parallel to the short edge of the mat. And our legs are at 90-degree right angles. And we're going to stretch forward. Or if that feels accessible to you, we're going to stretch that back leg out so that we're in a pigeon pose. Bringing that down onto the forearms if that feels comfortable for you. And again, stay in this position as long as it feels comfortable for you. Come out of it whenever you feel ready. And push back into high kneeling. We're going to get ready for relaxation, so come onto your back with your feet flat on the floor. And we're going to take hold of our big toe, keeping that leg bent, that knee bent towards our armpit. We're going to take hold of the toe of one foot or both feet and bring the soles of the feet to the air, so we're in happy baby. If it's too much to do it on both feet, just do it on one foot at a time. Take a bit of a rock here from side to side. And stay in this position for as long as you want to. And then when you feel ready, bring yourself down, ready for Shavasana. And give yourselves a few minutes, focusing on your breath, breathing in and out through your nose. And you can stay here for as long as feels comfortable for you. Just focusing on your breath. And when you feel ready, you can roll over onto one side. Coming up into seated. Taking one last breath together and bringing your hands in front of your heart.